Hey, Shadow, how you doing? All right, welcome to 8 November 2023. Normally, I go straight to the chat, but not today. Can everybody hear me? Can anybody hear me for that matter? Because remember, last week we had some technical difficulties. Yeah, okay. In the meantime, I'm going to. All right, thank you, Shadow. I am going to put something on screen. Hold up a second, guys. We might be having technical difficulties, and Shadow might be fucking with me. Not sure which it is. And because of that, there we go. Is it going to be that day again? Okay. Well, says it's loud on my side, so yeah, Shadow. All right. Well, I'm going to show you guys something. Yes, we know StreamYard. Sure. All right, so this is a meme I found on Facebook. Israel on October 7. Israel knowing every mosque, school, and hospital Hamas is hiding in. All right, this is a completely unfair assessment of the situation in its entirety. Hamas came up with a damn good plan. They exploited every weakness that Israel had. They came up with a damn good plan. They executed it well. I want to really point at one comment in particular. I'm not going to throw the guy under the bus yet, but somebody said, how is it that the Israelis couldn't hear the Hamas coming when their defense network can hear a squirrel scratching at the fence at 100 yards? Well, two reasons, right? As he made a point of it to say that they came in with paragliders, equipment to listen to a rat scratching at the fence is pointed down, not up. I mean, that's a simple one, right? You should have figured that one out on your own, but it gets worse. They came in under a cover of rocket fire, which creates noise and confusion and panic in and of itself. So, what did you think was going to happen? All right. Next panel, please. This is something I found on Facebook. Actually, this is how I found this. I just wanted flavorful aluminum to know that, yes, I keep my word. I'm also not very nice about keeping my word, am I? Go fuck yourself. And have a nice day. All right. Hi, Sapien. I didn't see you come in. All right. Present. Share screen. Mother. God, I really love you, Susan. You fucking cunt. Sorry about this, guys. I've got to back the chat up a little bit. All right. Here we go. Sapien says he's been here on time since the been here since the time on the thumbnail. That's okay. Most people come in late anyway. Don't worry about it. Also, I know there's 2 people watching, but StreamYard is telling me 0. So what am I supposed to believe? Let's move along. This is probably going to be a relatively short one because, believe it or not, nothing pissed me off this week. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't. That comment about. Actually, that did piss me off. So I'll come back. I'll cover it in a second. There was that comment and that meme, but generally speaking, not a whole lot pissed me off this week. All right. If you're going to make an accusation, you've got to have more than a vague notion of suspicion. All right. I can accuse anybody of anything, and for all you know, it's true. More than one commentator in history has said something to the effect that a lie can be halfway around the world before the truth can get its shoes on, its pants on, catch up. 100 other versions. If you're going to make an accusation, you better goddamn well have something other than a vague notion. All right? That's not the way the world works. This commentator that I was referring to about the hearing rats fart in the fence line actually accused Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu in particular, about letting the 7 October attack happen. That's a month and a day ago. Letting it happen on purpose because it would serve his political agenda. Well, how do I put this? It's a bullshit cop-out defense. Hey, Wasp. It's a bullshit cop-out argument, right? It's not helping him any in the real world any at all. It's only stalled what's going to happen. In the meantime, it's given his enemies a whole lot to complain about, hasn't it? So if that was his plan, well, it's really, really not fucking worked the way it was supposed to, has it? If you're going to make an accusation, you better have something more than a vague notion of guilt. Okay. Warsaw Patriot is saying I didn't see his comment, but I did see one. Tom Grieve just did a video on it now. I was talking about Israel, so I'm assuming that's what he was talking about there. I didn't see Five Nights at Freddy's Shadow. I think somebody asked me to. So, okay, Wasp, here's what you're going to do. Hop over to Discord. Drop it over there. And let me know as soon as you do. I'm getting it open right now. Because this is bullshit. I shouldn't have to do this. But whatever. We're going to play this fucking game, Susan. Right. Oh, wait. It would help if I actually opened Discord. There we go. That's the one I meant to open up. See, Susan, you can censor the comments all you want. I can still get them. What a miraculous and ingenious thing, huh? Oh, it's already here. Great. Thank you, Wasp. Yep. Okay. Ha ha ha. I see. Okay. I'll get to that in a second. I will get to that in a second. Warsaw. That was actually the only thing that made me happy this sort of made me happy this week. All right. You know what? You're right. I'm just going to go ahead and address this. Not the Supreme Court, the lower court ruled that the actually was he talking about the pistol brace or the bump stock? Because both are out on deck. Yeah, it's pistol brace. Okay. Lower courts have ruled that the bump stock and pistol brace bans violate the Constitution or something. I'm not exactly sure how they worded this, and I have to own up to my ignorance here. I'm not an attorney, right? An attorney has about this much law training. Paralegal has about this much law training. I'm a historian. I have about that much. Okay. Hey, Squatch. No, you didn't interrupt, Wasp. I was going to bring that up. Yeah, Shadow, I am a chaplain. Caucasian Sasquatch is asking, but then what happened? Donald Trump made an executive order to ban bump stocks. If I recall correctly, his words were, "Take them now, due process later." It's not how it works, but okay. Since then, the ATF has ruled that pistol braces violate the NFA short barrel rifle ban. And I mean, those are what they are. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they are what they were. You notice I said they are what they were. That's because a circuit court, I believe it was, ruled that, yeah, no, actually, they don't. These bans are not legal, and they cannot be enforced. Now, I have to admit, I'm not an attorney. I don't always understand the words that I'm using here. But my understanding is that the court also ruled that the injunction against enforcement would stand, which means they're back legally on the market. Whether you agree with this or not, I really don't give a fuck. I don't. I don't want to hear about it. The judge ruled the answer is no. Okay, so I want to highlight this. Brandon was ordering, and it is kind of within his purview as the executive, was ordering the ATF to make citizens pay a $200 tax. That's the norm under the NFA, and register any pistol brace firearm. Otherwise, it's an SBR in a violation of the NFA. Well, it's still an SBR, but it's a legal SBR now with that $200 stamp. And we just got a permanent injunction. Thank you for bringing me up to speed on that part. I was a little right. I'm just going to say this the way it really is. Part of the reason Brandon and Donnie, by the way, all right, and Barack and a few others before him go after these things is somebody in our community starts crowing about, oh, we got one over on ATF. ATF does not like being embarrassed. It's not like being mocked. All right. So when they realized that people were doing exactly the thing that they had said, yeah, and don't do that, they turned around and said, okay, well, fuck you too. We're taking everybody's toys away. And yes, Gun Roundtable, I am talking about you. Now after, what has it been? 5-6 years. Let's see. It's 2003, it's 2020, it's 2018. 5 years now. It's finally gotten to the point where a judge said, no. But that's not the whole story, Warsaw. The rest of the story is another court out of Illinois is ruling exactly the opposite, which sets this up for a Supreme Court ruling on the subject. Sooner or later, Supreme Court is going to have to step in because they have two courts, equal jurisdiction, different districts, saying the exact opposite thing. They're going to have to come in and settle this and decide who's right and who's wrong here. This is one judge right and the other judge wrong? Are both of them wrong? That has happened. Are both of them right for different reasons? That has happened too. Okay, Shadow. Try and catch the rerun later. Warsaw points out that the Illinois case is headed to the Supreme Court. It also co-aligns with California's. Okay. I'll tell you all the truth. The National Firearms Act is the worst written piece of legislation in American history. It was conceived in panic. It was written by people who do not understand the subject matter, and thrown together overnight. All right. If you want to have a legislative version of a child's crayon smearing contest, you could do worse than the NFA, but not by much. Really, no, not by much at all. And at least the ones that I'm thinking of, eventually they realized, hey, this is just a big ball of shit. We need to go back and rethink this. This is totally stupid. We did absolutely nothing correct here. The one I'm thinking of, ironically enough, is the Mann Act. Right? The Mann Act was, if you ever go back and look at the history of it, you realize, yeah, this was written by idiots. So rather than just keep fighting this never-ending battle that they can't seem to get right, they just scrapped the Mann Act and started all over again. NFA, they won't even be they can't even be bothered to do that. They cannot be bothered to admit, you know what, we fucked this one up. We need to start over again. From the ground up. Hey, you want to know why the NFA was altered, amended in 1952? I think it was 1952. It's because the federal government itself violated the NFA. They sold something like 500,000 M1 carbines, which were shorter barrel length than what was allowed under NFA at the time, to just about anyone who would take one, all right? Because it was cheaper It was literally cheaper to have somebody give them $20 for a gun that's actually worth about $40 than it was to pay somebody $100 for every 100 or so units to haul it away, and another $100 per 100 units for somebody else to scrap them. Yeah, that's how badly they fucked this one up. That's probably fixed bayonets. It is not fixed bayonets. Sorry, guys. They had sold something like 500,000 guns before they realized they were selling illegal guns themselves. And their solution to the problem was, well, we'll go back and amend it and make these all magically legal. Hold on a second, guys. I am going to look up. It's not wrong, but I don't want to talk about that right now. Oh. Sorry. Let's try that again. I amended Daetslov Act to cover exactly that, but not quite the way you might necessarily want. Now, because it's not the subject for this week, I'm just going to have to read it as it is. Okay. So I rewrote edited the Daetslov Act that long arm is any firearm with the stock intended to be fired from the shoulder for which the barrel shall be 12 inches in length or greater and overall length of 20 inches or greater. And you know what I base that on? I want to see if anybody, 12 inches, by the way. I want to see if anybody remembers what I base that on. Okay. I'm just going to pop these up for a second. Yeah, well, he's not wrong, right? And both of my ex-wives are not white. Of course, neither am I. But anyway, I'm not seeing any answers in the chat. Why am I not seeing any answers in the chat? All right, screw it. I'm just going to tell y'all. Fuck it. I base that barrel length on what the U.S. Army is actually doing right now as we speak. The new M5s are actually being issued, if I understand correctly. The carbine length was going to be 12 inches. Now, I'm hearing a couple different things. Okay, I'll deal with those later. I'll deal with those questions later. But the carbine length for combat specialists, such as engineers, medics, engineers, medics, etc., was going to be 12 inches. Well, okay, you know what? The Army says 12-inch is the length. Then I'm going to say 12 inches is the length. Before that, it was 18 inches. That's only 1.5 feet long barrel, guys. Literally, that's how I had said it before. 1.5 foot long barrel. Well, if the Army says I'm wrong, who am I to argue with them? By all means, let's bring it to 12 inches. Okay, hi, Orpuff. Okay. Orb. Orby. Yeah, actually, I was thinking the same thing. Thank you, Squatch. Um, I'm not okay with people going to prison for plagiarism, but the fines and judgments I'm totally okay with. I'm going to highlight this just for a second. Ordpuff is somehow involved in the theft of an intellectual property, right? Plagiarism. Somebody stole a movie idea. And now they're going to prison for it, which is a little too far. Give me a second, guys. I gotta take a look at something. Okay. I have a one up on my Discord tab, which means I have one thing that I've been tagged in, but I'm pretty sure I know what it was. All right. So the bad news. The good news is that we won 2 big court decisions, but on bump stocks and pistol braces, don't count your chickens until they're hatched, right? Somebody somewhere is going to fight this anyway. Historically speaking, historically speaking, right? The Supreme Court has ruled more on the side of gun rights than on gun control. This is a fact, whether you like it or not. However, the argument being made in the bump stock case is that it converts a semi-automatic rifle to an automatic. Now, I know that's fucking bullshit. All right. It's a reaction to the Route 99, I think it was, shooting, which, by the way, I have never actually seen the crime scene photos. I've never seen, excuse me, I've never seen the evidence log. For all I know, people are still just making this shit up about there being a bump stock. All right. Using a bump stock is actually more difficult than not using one. Unless you modify it illegally to return it to battery on its own. I want to emphasize this. If you have a bump stock, do not modify it in any way, shape, or form. That's actually illegal for a reason. It's also about as accurate as a hand grenade in the context of what the Route 99 shooter was attempting to do. That's actually a good thing, right? He wanted to spray and pray. He didn't want to get anything resembling a nice little cluster. No. He wanted them everywhere. YouTube deleted the destruction test that me and Brent did on the bump stock that we bought together, right? Okay. Sapient, I want you to send me that message on Discord because I can still see it there. And we love you, Susan. You cunt. Does not control Discord. Let me know when it's up. Got Discord in another tab. It's not a problem. Not a problem at all. All right. The I can't remember his name now. The Las Vegas shooter wanted to spread bullets everywhere. So, okay, great. Yeah. Bump stock's great for that. we did a destruction test, right? We got about 1,000 rounds. So granted, we went hard on those 1,000 rounds, right? My not my landlord, but my landlord's next door neighbor at the time had what was known at the time that they first came out as a fight light, belt fed upper receiver for AR-15s, right? It's now MCX. The fuck is the desert? Anyway, the MCX. But at any rate, he had one. The barrel was worn out, right? It would still fire, but it was just horrifically inaccurate, which combined with the bump stock was just terrible. And because the barrel was worn out, there was also several jams in the process. That happened. We're over it. We got about 1,000 rounds through it before all of that reciprocating action, two solid objects rubbing against each other, caused the stock to jam hopelessly. Right? We actually figured it out. It was right where the end of the buffer tube was basically digging into that plastic a little at a time, right? And eventually gouged it out until it jammed in the back position. It also was causing the plastic to melt, to deform in that area from the heat, right? So it got jammed in there really, really well. But we got about 1,000 rounds. Okay, all right. Let me take a look and see what it was that Sapien said. All right. Sapien has said, or attempted to say in the chat, I just said you can't copyright an idea, only the execution. All right. We're talking about two different nations' laws here, bud. So there might be a little bit more to this. Also, it might be a copyright issue, which every country recognizes some version of copyright. So you'll have to talk to Orby later on your own. And then I followed it up with, but UK is retarded. Now, that one came through, but the UK is retarded. Oops. Oh, wrong tab. Okay. Hey, Boa. Yeah, I chuckled at that UK comment, by the way. And you know why, so own it. All right. That was the good news for this week. Bump stocks are stupid. Right? They are. They're fucking stupid. I'm not a big fan of pistol braces either. Of course, I've never actually had one. Maybe if I got one, I'd be a big fan. I can also say that part of the reason I'm not a big fan of bump stocks is, oh, damn, excuse me, is that the one that we had really didn't last that long. It was more difficult to use it than it really should ever have been. It was just, you know what? It was just stupid. Right? Bump stocks are stupid. It's that simple. Oh, okay. Yes, Moa, but that's kind of outside the scope of what we do here. And that is kind of outside the scope of what we do here. All right, give me a second. I want to see if there's anything that I'm kind of forgetting. Okay. Not a whole lot really pissed me off this week, guys. So we're probably going to come into wrapping this up early. We are going to touch on revisions. Right. We're going to stop the screen. And present a different screen. Oh. That's why. Yeah, now it's visible. Oh, all right. I got you, Bella. All right. So, Section 10 revisions. Any revision to this act or any other bill that may in any way impact this act must be approved by 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress and presidential signature, or 3/4 vote of both houses of Congress in an immediately subsequent session of Congress. Okay, pause. A revision to this act, to this amendment, by the way, is passed by 2/3 of the Senate and 3/4 of the House of Representatives, but the president doesn't sign it. Well, okay, great. It has to go back before both houses, the subsequent session. And by the way, it doesn't matter if it passed by 3/4 of both houses. It doesn't matter if it passed by ridiculously overwhelming majority of one nay, one present, and one abstain vote, and everybody else said yay, right? That doesn't matter. The president didn't sign it. Hold on to that thought for a second. It's got to go back to both houses in the subsequent session, not the one after that. No. The immediately subsequent session, because failure to sign a revision shall be treated as a veto of said revision. The president doesn't sign it. It's a veto. It's got to go back. And they've got to vote on it in a subsequent session. Each section affected by any revision must be individually approved by Congress. Pause. All right. This is to prevent somebody from trying to sneak something through by pumping it full of writers. The Hughes Amendment was a revision to the Firearms Owners Protection Act that was passed at 2 a.m, the day of the vote, with about 10 people present. All right. That's how the Hughes Amendment got into FOPA. The next morning, everybody wakes up. They are all saying, "Yep, we're supposed to vote yes on this." And here's a writer that got snuck in about 4 hours earlier, 6 hours earlier, whatever. Nobody even noticed it was there until it was too late. No, that's not going to be happening anymore. Right? Each provision has to be voted on individually. Any vote that fails to pass, if conflictory to the rest of the act, shall invalidate the entire revision. So this is a double safeguard. right? You've got one act. Let's say making it illegal under federal law to piss on poison oak. Okay, great. It's now illegal to piss on poison oak. And somebody sneaks in there a revision banning bump stocks. And somebody else sneaks a revision in there banning fast food burger joints. And somebody sneaks a revision in there banning holsters for electric drills. Yeah, I picked that because there just happens to be one sitting about 4 feet away. All right, great. Well, you know what? Fast food in general is bad for you. Okay, great. Maybe that one passes. And the one about it being illegal to piss on poison oak, I like, really, who gives a shit? Right? So, okay, maybe that one passes too. Every single construction worker in the country is going to fucking freak out at a ban on drill holsters. So that's going to not go over very well, but maybe that one does pass. All right. But because there's a clause in here that bans bump stocks, just bump stocks all by themselves, right? It impacts the Second Amendment. This has to be passed by the 2/3 votes of both houses and the presidential signature, or 3/4 vote of both houses in the subsequent session. All because one guy wanted to sneak that one thing through. I'm going to keep this up in a background tab for a moment because I actually want to go back to it. Okay. If there's any questions about this, because this is actually kind of important, it will come to pass at some point. Let me change the screens around a little bit. All right. It will come to pass at some point in the future that something that we have not thought of ever before in history comes along. All right. Something totally new and novel. At one time, firearms were new and novel technology. At one time, the pike was a new and novel technology. And I'm telling you, I believe before I die that I am going to see the first phasers or lasers or disruptors or whatever the hell you call them come into generalized use. All right. I honestly and earnestly believe that that's going to happen before I die. It might be just before I die. All right. But I'm going to live to see chemical reaction weapons, firearms as we understand them today, become obsolete. Just like my grandfather lived long enough to see the propeller-driven aircraft that he worked on, excuse me, my grandfathers, both of them, that they, one worked on, the other flew, become obsolete in the jet age, while my dad saw them come back with the turboprop in the 1970s. I think it was the 70s. I'm going to live long enough to see the gun, as we know it today, become obsolete. Hi, Swiss. I wasn't ignoring you. I was just kind of in the middle of my little rant. Okay, I'm going to put this away now. Stop screen. Switch to that one. And we're going to go over the chat. Oh my God. Chat got kind of busy all of a sudden. I'm just putting everything up so that it can be seen later. If that was you, Fix, I will get to it in a second. I will get to that in a second. Do. Oh, that's all right, Swiss. You didn't interrupt it. I kept on going, and then I got done, and I said hello. All right. All right. Boa says presidential veto can be overridden and become law without the president's signature when both houses vote on it with a supermajority in both houses. As I understand it, studied government, U.S. government in high school, and that is correct. I'm pretty sure, though, that supermajority is only 2/3 to override a veto. I raised the standards quite a bit. The reason I raised damn. Okay. The reason I raised that standard is I wanted to put the standard to revise Daetslov to be at least equal to what it was needed to get it passed. That's simple. All right. It required the 3/4 vote of Congress, or the 3/4 vote of the people, 34 states, to say, yes, we agree this needs to be the Constitution now. I wanted to hold Congress to at least that same standard. Speaking of which, unless there's any questions on the revisions, I'm going to move on to the get home bag. Shit. My real get home bag. God damn it. All right. Well, we're going to have to play pretend because I put my gloves in my real get home bag. Which this week is gloves, by the way. So, these are, who's going to do these? These, except I was going to do the other style. There we go. All right. These are long-sleeved fingerless gloves. They are kind of hard to get on because this particular company makes them really tight. I don't like it, but it does work. When I was working security, one of the things that would always drive me insane is I would be out making my rounds and wind would curl up my arm, get into that Swiss, would get between my my gloves and my jacket sleeves, right? And I would have a long sleeve shirt, usually a sweatshirt, on underneath my uniform shirt, but I could never really keep that draft out. Well, this will keep the draft out by putting a barrier that completely covers your entire arm. It also leaves your fingers free, right, for when you need to. You just take off your warm gloves. I do have a pair of gloves here. Give me a second. I got to turn them right side out because these are actually in development. Unless I have my others. Yeah, of course I did that. Always have your props sitting right there so that you don't have to go digging for them later. No, wait a minute. What's that? That is, nope. You don't have to turn them right side out. Oh, good. That was my left hand anyway. All right. Now you put your real gloves on over top, and you won't have any areas for the drafts to get in. Now, Swiss, I don't know what these are made of. I'm sorry, they're not cotton. I know that much. You notice that now my hand is completely covered. Don't do this. This pair of gloves was actually going to be modified for work, which means a little bit more, but always one finger uncovered. Why one finger? You probably assume because I went straight to my right index finger, which is my trigger finger, that it's for my gun. Oh. It's for my phone. Believe it or not, because watch this. Ah! Yeah, I mean, I did get one letter. I've gotten 2 letters. Hey, that's not bad. Okay. Are you seeing the problem? I can't manipulate my phone like this. Now, if you are a thumb texter, right, keep your thumbs clear. If you are a pinky texter, I met that guy once. There's a guy I know that he uses his pinky. Oh, actually, he's lefty, right? He uses his pinky. It's awesome. I don't know how his brain works, but it does work that way. He would keep his pinky, left pinky open, right? By the way, if you want these, they are on the community tab. I'm just saying. Anything that will keep your hands covered. All right, no bullshit, no lying, and no games here. I had gone home to Papa Carey's for a while. This was just after the divorce. And my younger brother, this is pre-COVID, had come to, he had come to see Dad, and I happened to be there at the time. This really bad snowstorm came out of absolutely nowhere. This was a record-breaking storm. I think this was the deepest snow we'd ever seen, at least at Mom and Dad's place, where it came up to my waist height in spots, right? As a child, the deepest snow I recall ever seeing was about 6 inches and lasting a day, 2 at most. This was 4 or 5 feet deep and was holding on very, very well after a week. We could have built snow forts by digging first and then piling on top. All right. It was this was real snow. This was the first real snow I recall ever having seen at Dad's place. I did see that, Swiss. I'll get to you in a second, I promise. All right. So all's well in the world, right? No. Nobody was ready for this. It took out power all over the place. Dad did have a generator, so he started that up. But it was really, really haphazard because we'd never needed this before. It had never, well, he had never used it before. We had never needed it before. I think 2 years before, when there was a week-long blackout. So we didn't exactly know what we were doing. All right, that's the truth. We didn't know what we were doing. At one point, Dad got frustrated and said, "Okay, that's it. We're going into town." Okay. So we're going down one of the roads, and there are literally trees everywhere all over the road. Now, we were lucky we got caught behind somebody with a chainsaw. All right. And he's cutting the tree up. But if he spends time hauling the sections of tree off the road, then he's not cutting. Well, me and my brother got out of Dad's truck and we started hauling the sections of tree off. And when I say hauling them off, I mean we were just pushing them to the edge of the black. They fall into the dirt. They fall off into the ravine. Whatever. All right, they're leaning up against guardrails. We did not care. They were out of the middle of the road. Oh, we also blocked. Excuse me. We also dammed up parts of the drainage ditch on one side of the road. All right. Well, you know what? Yeah, that happened. Okay, we own it. We did that. We were trying to get the road passable. That was our focus at the moment. We were doing it without gloves. And my hands in particular were scratched up and raw rather quickly because we're handling ice. We're handling big, heavy pieces of wood that are covered in literal ice. Now, my brother swears up one side and down the other. It didn't bother him. And I'm not in a position to call him a liar. I can only tell you that they bothered the hell out of me. Okay. Thank you for asking, Swiss. Dad's doing great. Oh, it's my uncle who's sick. And I will pass that along. God damn it, that's terrible. That is Samuel the Infamous level bad. Oh, I will say a prayer for you, Swiss. On a related note, so have a pair of good gloves in your get-home bag. Have a pair of long-sleeve fingerless gloves if you can. This is the wrong style that I ordered by mistake. And on a related note, I'd like everybody to please say a prayer or something for Scott Townsend. He's one of Exile Lioness's followers. He had a stroke sometime, I guess, last week or the week before. Last week or the week before. He seems to be doing very well considering he had a stroke. He's able to type and use the internet. That's what I know. Especially you, Boa, because you know Scott. We are currently at 1 hour. Yeah, good. I get to do a little bit of a purely rant thing because I don't want to go less than an hour and a half. All right. In your get home scenario, you may have to accept uh, uh, doing things that you find repugnant. Now, of course, there is an absolute limit. I would never ask you to, right? I would never ask you to give a blowjob to get home. That's ridiculous, even by my fucked up standards. That's absolutely fucking ridiculous, right? But in the course of getting home, things may happen that you just aren't okay with. And I get that. I'm thinking of three particular people here. Uh, Two of them are Muslim women, and one of them is very, very, very strict about the rules. Do what you have to do to get home, all right? And how do I put this without being crude? To be perfectly blunt, um, you can't do penance if you're dead. There, that's how I put it without being crude. Right? No, I'm not asking them to do anything ridiculous. But if you have to do some things that are a little on the edge, right, do them long enough to get home and do your penance afterwards. I can look you all absolutely in the eye and say that if I have a bottle of water in the middle of a situation like get home bags are for, 99% probability that it's 1 part alcohol for 4 parts, whatever it may be. Oh. As I'm getting towards the bottom of the bottle, it burns a little bit less. So I think maybe it didn't mix up perfectly. All right. So if I hand you a bottle of water, chances are real goddamn good. There's alcohol in it. Your water tastes funny. Good chance there's alcohol in it. You can do penance later. You can do your penance later. Now, I will absolutely lie to you. Lie as in withhold pertinent information. Um, I'm thinking of one in particular. If I were in a position where she's sitting there and she does not have water, I will hand her my water bottle. Now, because I know she's Muslim, I'm just not going to tell her there's alcohol in there. I'm just going to hand it to her, tell her, chug this and keep chugging. No, keep chugging, keep chugging, keep chugging. Finish the bottle. Nice small bottles. Don't worry about it. Because I know she's got to stay alive long enough to get home. And believe me, at the level I mix my grog up at, there's not enough alcohol in there to get drunk. Just you'll feel a little bit funny the next day, like because she's not used to drinking. It probably will hit her a little bit harder. All right. Whereas I've been drinking since noon. Been drinking lightly since noon, but I've been drinking since noon. This is about my third bottle at the 1-4 rate. 1 part alcohol for 4 parts tea in this case. Boa says, I know a streamer that fits that description. Yeah, that would be me. I've also committed sexual assault to save people's lives, so you can be rest assured this trench rat is not above doing whatever it takes. Just saying. There's another one, and this is really pointed towards one person in particular that I know of. I know the idea of wearing a mask is absolutely enigma to most people at this point. We're kind of at the point where fuck you and your mask, right? As you're going along to get home, focus on getting home. Just focus on getting home. And if some fucking Karen is giving you shit because you're not wearing it, just put the fucking mask on long enough to get home. And remember who Karen was to the best of your ability and kick him in the balls later. I'll pay your, I'll cough up the money for your bail. All right? Go ahead and kick him in the balls later. He actually deserves it. Oh, God. But for right now, just put the mask on so he'll shut up and go away. That's the thing. Get him to shut up and go away. And we're only at 1 hour and 10 minutes. Do what you have to do just to get home. Afterwards, if you feel you need to do penance for it, do it. All right? You are doing me absolutely no fucking good if you're dead. Is that clear enough? You're not doing anybody any fucking good if you're dead. Is this clear enough? Right? I said a minute ago, I committed sexual assault to save somebody's life. Yeah, when I was at BMA school. It was me and 2 guys and a female. A happily married mother that made up my A school team. All right. We had to do this drill about getting a raft flipped over and getting into the raft. And the plan we came up with, because I was a big fat fucking monster. I'm not a big fat fucking monster guy, but I'm huge compared to most people. And like as heavy as the 2 other guys combined. It's tiny little guys. All right. Our plan was that I was going to climb up on top, lean back. The 2 other boys were going to like jump onto me to give me a little extra weight, and then we'd flip the raft over that way. No problem. We did that. I get up into the raft all by myself. No problem. I grabbed the first guy, pulled him in. We pulled the second guy in. We're trying to get the woman in. We can't. None of us can get a grip on her. So one asshole by the name of Carrie, I kid you not, I still remember this. I don't have nightmares, but I do remember this. I thought, oh my God, there's only one way to do this. I didn't think about it. I just shot my hand down into the water, put my entire forearm in between her legs. I know exactly what I was doing here. I'm not making any excuses. And then I pulled her up and threw her onto the boat. The raft. Now, I still am really embarrassed by this. right? Because this was a very happily married mother. And I had met her husband. I had not by that point met their son. I don't think I'd met their son. Happily married mother. All right. But I did what I had to fucking do to get her in that raft, and I'm not the least bit sorry I did it. I'm just a little embarrassed. That's all. I'd do it again. Not a problem. If she had been one of the two boys in the exact same situation, I probably would have fucking punched them in the dick to get them in that raft. I would have actually felt a lot less bad about that, but not great. Yes, but I would be mixing it with water there, Boa. All right. Thank you, Swiss Miss. And okay, guys, if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it up for today. As you can see, I have rabies. Because I'm actually in a relatively good mood tonight. Right? No, none of that KNF shit that I'm normally known for. Yes, this week was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It was not as bad as it could have been. Kind of is what it is. And yeah. Gloves are part of your total personal protective equipment. Load, that means glasses, face mask, gloves, bare minimums you need to protect you from the things that are flying around that you don't want to have fucking you up, right? It's not part of body armor, which would be helmets and armor. If you have body armor and helmets in your get home bag, might be a little overly prepared. I'm just saying. Most important thing about your get home bag is think your way through your situation. Avoid contact with people to the greatest degree possible. When it's not possible to avoid contact, minimize contact with people to the greatest degree possible. All right? Avoid and minimize contact. Until you can get home. Then start reaching out to all your friends. Carrie, are you alive? Boa, you out there, Sapien? Yeah, we're good. We made it. We got home. Avoid and minimize contact as much as possible. All right. Shit. We're going to be wrapping it up here, I guess. 917 has hit in Israel, which is not quite what I expected, but it makes a lot of sense now that it has happened. It is still coming to the United States. It might kind of touch on Canada a little bit, but it will rip through Europe like a fucking firestorm. It'll rip into the United States like a fucking firestorm. It might even hit parts of Asia. Probably not, but might. Oh, excuse me. So, 9017 is still coming. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, keep calm. and mandatory carry on. Ugh. Oh, God damn it.